This is one of the most popular Adidas shoes of all time, second only to the Stan Smiths. And with celebrities like A$AP Rocky, Kendall Jenner, and Hailey Bieber wearing them all throughout 2022, their popularity has exploded to the point where throughout early 2023, there were shortages and you couldn't find these. So we're gonna cut these things in half, run them through our test to finally figure out why they've been around for 74 years, how they've sold 35 million pairs, why a football sneaker is suddenly one of the most popular sneakers, and is this shoe still built to the same standard of quality that built the Samba name that's lasted 74 years. When we were preparing this video, I had no idea that this shoe had been around 74 years. And the history is actually pretty interesting because it all starts in 1924 when Adolf and Rudolf Dassler registered the name this, because I'm not gonna butcher it, or in English, the Dassler Brothers Shoe Factory in Bavaria, Germany. Then in 1928, runner Linda Reiki won gold in Amsterdam wearing a pair of Dassler shoes. 1933, unfortunately, the Dassler brothers were part of the thing that was going on in that country. Don't want to get demonetized by YouTube by talking about history. But under this new government, their business thrived and was able to grow rapidly. And then in 1936, the infamous Berlin Olympic Games, many of the German athletes were wearing the Dassler brothers shoes, along with American track star Jesse Owens, who won gold and wore the Dassler track shoes during the medal ceremony, which catapulted it out of the smaller market of Germany and really brought it into the mainstream worldwide. Then just a couple years later, World War II starts and the brothers' shoe factories were converted into munition factories for the German military, and Rudolf was drafted to fight, but went AWOL as he thought his brother Adolf was trying to steal the company away from him. And then in April of 1945, American troops were poised to destroy one of their big factories, but they were convinced not to because of how big of fans they were of Jesse Owens and the shoes he wore, and they didn't want to destroy it. They wanted to take some shoes back home with them. And then in 1949, the Dassler brothers' relationship suffered even more to a point where there's a permanent rift, and Adolf, aka Adi Dassler, started Adidas, Adidas, and then Rudolf Dassler started a rival company, Puma, which doesn't have any phonetic similarities. And then in 1949, Adidas decides to make a new football shoe, which was originally designed to help footballers train on icy and hard grounds, and that is the predecessor to the Samba, which wasn't called the Samba because during the 1950 FIFA World Cup in Brazil, Adidas tried to gain popularity in South America by giving that newly invented football shoe its now popularized name, the Samba. Then over the next several decades, the Samba became a staple product for Adidas that continued to be sold year after year to anybody from footballers to skaters to athletes, streetwear, casual wear, and just about anything you can think of, mostly due to the versatility and the alleged quality per dollar spent. And then fast forward to 2023, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this shoe has completely exploded in popularity. Just look at this graph on Google Trends. It's crazy how popular it's become. And I think the vast majority of people had no idea this shoe has been around for 74 years. So what is this shoe? Well, the brand is Adidas. The style is the Samba OG. They retail for $100. They are made in Vietnam, and the way that Adidas positions this shoe is born in the pitch. The Samba is a timeless icon of street style. The silhouette stays true to the legacy in the tasteful low profile soft leather upper suede overlay gum sole, making it a staple in anyone's closet on and off the pitch. But anytime I hear a shoe that has this long of a history and it's this popular because of the quality and why people love it so much, and it's been 74 years, I get worried that the quality has dropped to increase the margins, to get this popular shoe that built its name because of its quality. They use that to sell a subpar shoe to the people who think it's something that it's not, which we've seen maybe 30 times with some of these old school sneakers. So let's start looking at the details of the shoe, starting with the upper first, because we've seen a lot of these $100-ish range shoes that look like they're made of full leather, but as soon as you put the lighter to them and start looking at the fine details, there's usually like one or two panels that's real leather and the rest is just terrible fake leather. So we put the lighter to each of the panels, and the toe bumper is real, the vamp panel is real, the lace stays are real, the tongue itself is real, the quarter panels are real, and the only thing that's not real leather on the outside of the shoe is the heel stay and the little black accents of the Adidas stripes. So pretty impressive for a $100 shoe, because it's really rare to see any shoe that's made by one of these big corporations that has all leather all the way through the upper, let alone a $100 shoe. But what is the quality of this leather? Well, it's pretty on par with the rest of the big brands' leathers. It's 1.5 millimeters thick. We looked at the cross section, there's just a little bit of grain in there. You can also tell with the macro lens that it has a little bit of a fake embossed print into it. And the thing that I don't like about this style of leather is you can see, because of that heavy layer of plastic plastic on top, it automatically looks like it's all wrinkled and gross because of that heavy plastic coating. And we also ran the puncture test on it, and it performed really well at 120 pounds. So honestly, first thing we looked at, it's quite impressive with the Samba having actually full leather through the majority of the shoe. The only thing that's not leather is the little black accents. But what about the inside of this shoe? Well, just when I had my hopes up that this was all leather, it is a super high quality all the way through, put the lighter to the lining, and the lining is fake leather, and so is the tongue backer, which is not that crazy. You know, with this much leather at $100, it's already pretty impressive, but I hate this fake leather because it is just plastic. And so it's like having a plastic bag around your foot. It doesn't breathe, and it causes chafing if it's on your bare skin because it's literally just plastic. And then looking deeper inside the shoe, you've got a pretty typical lining for the rest of the shoe up near the vamp. And if we pull this insole out, it's about as cheap of an insole as you get. Like, it might as well not even be there because of how open cell the foam is. It just bottoms out immediately. Then the lasting material, it looks like it's a more rigid and more structured lasting material than what we usually see with sneakers, which starts to make me think that this might actually still be somewhat of a performance sneaker. And then if we look at the outsole, this is where this shoe is the most interesting to me because it has really deep lugs, and it has a really unique pattern, these little saw teeth, a little pivot point that allegedly these little things are suction cups. And it's a pretty hard outsole too. It's a 60 Shore A, so pretty tough compared to the majority of sneakers that are usually like 40 to 50 Shore A. But I wanted to see how well this outsole performed. So we did the ball and bar drop test, and the bar drop, it bounced up 5.3 inches, which is like pretty average, maybe on the lower end. And then the ball drop bounced up just under 12 inches, which not amazing either. So it seems like it's pretty on par with other shoes, but I don't think it's made to be a responsive foam-based rebound shoe. And we also did the puncture test just for fun, and it took 131 pounds, which is pretty impressive for a sneaker, especially a really simple, traditionally made sneaker. And so everything's looking like it's a pretty decent sneaker, especially for $100. All leather upper, a pretty sturdy outsole, but you never know till we cut it in half. So let's cut this in half, see if there's anything else hiding, and really judge this sneaker and see why it's been around for 74 years. So you know how your wallets look like complete trash after like 2 to 3 months after buying it? The reason it falls apart is the same reasons that your cheap sneakers fall apart, because cheap sneakers and cheap wallets use cheap leather, really thin thread, lots of BS marketing, and usually they're backed with fabric because of how weak that really terrible leather is. Versus high quality footwear and our handmade wallets, we use premium leather with the grain, plenty of thickness in there. We use a really thick stitching, no gimmicks, literally just leather and thread, no fabric backers anywhere, and it only gets better with time because we use such high quality leather. It develops this unique patina that ages and wears in, gets some beautiful highlights and lowlights and depth of color, and it shapes to fit your cards perfectly. So check out our handmade wallets via the link in the description, especially this one. This is the SBB wallet. And since this is a sneaker video, the reason it's called the SBB is because I designed this pattern when we cut apart the shattered backboard Jordans and made a wallet out of them. And it's just been really popular ever since. So thank you guys for checking out these wallets and our belts and all the other products we make and supporting this channel. It means a lot to me, so thank you guys. All right, we got it cut in half, and if you're not subscribed, consider doing it. It's how we pay to do this twice a week, every single week, pay the editors, pay for everything that we do. It's because of your guys' support. So if you're not subscribed, consider doing it. And if you are subscribed, thanks for all your support. So let's see what's inside. So before cutting this in half, I just assumed that all the bad stuff, everything was hidden on the inside to get it down to that $100 price point. But it's surprising what's on the inside because you have a true toe cap for once in sneaker history. That so many sneakers pretend like they have a true toe cap, but this one actually does. And that makes sense. It's a soccer sneaker. You want that extra protection from kicking balls all day. And the other thing is this outsole is really, really thick. It's 6 to 7 millimeters thick all the way across, which is double the thickness of Marquez Brownlee's sneaker. It's a couple millimeters thicker than the vast majority of sneakers. And I think it is because it's a performance sneaker. And the whole construction of the shoe and every little detail about it is about as simple and pared down as you can make a shoe. And now to the questions that I want to answer from this video. Why have these been around for 74 years? Well, I think this sneaker is a really good example of probably everyone's grandpa's favorite expression, KISS, keep it simple, stupid, no fluff, no gimmicks, just high quality materials that are thick and they do the job how they're supposed to do it. Why have they sold 35 million pairs? Well, not all great shoes sell millions and millions of pairs, but shoes that are sold at a pretty decent price of $100, that are built to this quality, that customers can rely on, because I think that's the biggest point of why they sold 35 million, because I don't think you sell that many by just selling one to each individual. I think there's a lot of people out there that have bought several of these in their lifetime and then turn other people onto them and have their kids buy them. And I think that's the only way you can get to the #2 spot of all Adidas sneakers. And then why is a football sneaker suddenly one of the most popular sneakers of the year? I honestly don't know, because I don't think most people know how good this shoe is. I think it's just a trendy thing on social media currently. And the thing about where we're at now is trends rise so fast, but they also drop really fast. So something can get popular overnight, but it can die overnight. And when it does get popular, it's not that slow creep that was all through the 80s and 90s and 2000s, it's overnight. So I think that's the vast majority of why they're so popular. I don't think it has anything to do with the quality. I think it's just how social media works. Is this shoe built to the same standard of quality that built the Samba name over the last 74 years? Well, they are clearly pretty good sneakers, but I'm willing to bet that the previous versions were even better. Because if you didn't know, these used to be made out of kangaroo leather, which if you don't know, kangaroo leather is arguably the strongest leather in the world at this thickness of 1.5 millimeters. But unfortunately, Adidas decided to quit making shoes out of kangaroo leather in 2012. Maybe they have some good reasons, but it would have been cool to actually have this made out of kangaroo. And then finally, is this a good sneaker? Is it worth the money? It's definitely not the best sneaker we've ever cut in half, but for an old school traditional sneaker, I don't think there's a better one that we've cut apart that's in this price range of around $100. And I think that most people that buy this sneaker are gonna get their money's worth out of it, which is really rare these days, especially for these big brands. Which really surprised me, because when we were planning this video, I thought for sure that this video was gonna be dumping all over Sambas, just like all the other traditional sneakers that have this heritage and lineage, where the brands have slowly nickeled and dimed and cut corners away to increase those margins, so it's just a carcass, a facade of the former shoe that built the name. But fortunately, this is a rare instance of that not being the case, because this is a pretty decent sneaker for $100. So let me know what you guys think, and if you've owned a pair of these, and especially the kangaroo ones, I'm curious what you thought of one versus the other, so put that in the comments. And thank you guys for all your support and watching these videos. It's really fun to do and show you guys what you're spending your hard-earned money on, instead of just guessing and hope that they work out. So thank you guys. See ya.